morning, Merry Christmas. I'm so hungover. Where I live is like a little thing that everyone goes out on Christmas Eve, and it's always a good night because I live in a small place and there's like really only one place that's like worth going to. So everyone goes. And they played Mamma Mia. I fucked shit up, but now I feel considerably under the weather. And my family's coming over in like an hour. But anyways, I just got back from a trip to New Zealand where I went with my best friend, and everyone that I see, like everyone like at the pub or wherever I am, they're like, how was your trip to New Zealand? Like, how was it? And I always say, oh my God, like it was amazing. It was so good. But it really gave me an appreciation for how, I thought I wasn't high maintenance. Turns out I am, but I'm high maintenance in a low maintenance way because I am so solitude. I just love being alone. It's literally the best thing ever. And obviously I'm not an idiot. I know that doesn't like say anything about my friendships, but I just didn't realize how much I love and crave and need to be alone. I get overstimulated at like the fucking drop of a penny. Like that's too much noise for me. So interesting, maybe something to be looked into. But anyway, it got me thinking about friendships in general because I don't have many. I really value quality over quantity when it comes to friends. I just don't think it's worth knowing someone if they're not like a really good friend. But actually no, that's not true. That's not how I feel. That's how I used to feel. So then the issue with that was like I took all my acquaintances to be my good friends, and then what ended up happening was like obviously those people do me dirt because they didn't even fucking know me and I didn't even fucking know them. And nowadays like that wouldn't affect me because I'm like, well, I don't care, like I don't hold you close to my heart or anything. But those days I used to hold everyone close to my heart. Do you know what I mean? So, and I just thought everyone was like innately a good person, which like unfortunately they're not. And then I ended up getting so hurt. So then basically what I did was freak out, have like the world's biggest panic attack for like 2 entire years. And I cut off all my friends because I was like, well, no one's trustworthy. How can I tell the difference between a good and bad friend? And then I was like, oh, actually, well, I've known all along how to tell the difference between a good and bad friend. I just need to start like honoring it. You know what I mean? So then I was thinking, well, what makes a good friend? Because I have about 2 friends that I consider friends, and everyone else, I'm friends with them, friendly with them. But like, would I call them my friend? Like, because I think of friends as like kind of my family, and everyone else, I would call them a friend, but it's like, do you know what I mean? Like, I'm not fussed about you. Anyway, my best friend, she's the girl that I went to New Zealand with, and we've been friends, get this, yeah, since we were like 13, and we met online, and she would literally kill me for saying that. We both used to be like proper like internet people when we were 13, like Twitter people, and who would have guessed it, right? And then that's where we met, and then our parents like let us meet up in real life like 6 weeks after we met because we lied to them, and we were like, we've known each other for like years actually. And they let us meet up in a Starbucks, and then we've been best friends ever since. This bitch knows everything about me and I know everything about her. I'd like to think, although actually I definitely don't because she's like an emotional lobster. Anyway, so we went together and we were living in a van, and it was a very small van. Am I speaking too quick? Sometimes I clock onto that. Anyways, we were living in a van and it wasn't very big. Like, it wasn't like one of those like fully well-equipped vans. It was like 2 seats in the front and like essentially the same as the back of my current car, but just like turn it into a bed, like flip it into a bed. So, needless to say, we're not a big space, and we were traveling for 5, nearly 6 weeks. And so it's not that there were tensions, it's that we bickered non-stop, like a married couple, we bickered. And I love it because you can't bicker with people you're not close to, or just end the friendship, and you'll just think, oh my God, I don't want to be around this person, I hate this person. But no, we bickered. It would be 3 minutes of bickering, right? 10 minutes of silence, and then someone would crack a joke. Or just ask if we want, like anything else, right? Topic would be changed. Much like with your siblings. See, what I can't stand is if I bicker with someone or we have any kind of to-do, and then they feel the need to ask if we're okay or if I'm okay. And I understand some people need, you know, the reassurance, but not in a friendship like that. It couldn't happen. It couldn't happen. In an acquaintancy friendship, ask away and I love you and I will reassure you, but not with my lifelong best friend. I know it's not lifelong, but it might as well be. Do you know what I mean? I don't have really any others. I love her. And I was thinking, I even wrote some things down in my notes app because I was like, I want to be able to do this bitch justice. If I'm going to talk about her, I'm going to talk about her right, you know what I mean? So I was thinking what makes a good friend, right? And I'm going to reference this one time when I got into a new relationship. This is like, okay, no, yeah. I got into a new relationship and I started being a bit of a shit friend to my best friend, which one of the things I pride myself on is not being a bad friend. Like, it really matters to me. I give a lot, I hope I give a lot of energy, but then I think, well, I don't ever reply to people's texts, so do I really give that much energy to being a good friend? But then I think, yeah, it's you know, it's about the bigger things. Anyways, it's also probably about the small things. I do need to work on that. But anyways, so my best friend, she texts me and she's like, you're not the person that I have been calling my best friend for however many years. And I was like, whoa, because she doesn't tend to like call me out. Like, it's not a super, like, we let each other breathe, you know what I mean? Like, because we're so close, we tell each other we have to be able to tell each other all the questionable things we do without getting a fucking lecture, you know what I mean? Like, we don't always want that. We know we take each other in sickness and in health, right? So this bitch isn't like up my shit all the time with like, oh, should you be doing that? Like, that's not how we work. So for her to come to me and be like, hey, queen, I was like, oh, fuck, I'm really stepping wrong here. So anyway, I'd got into this new relationship and then she came to me and she was like, you're not being a good friend to me, and I know that you value that so highly about yourself, so that's why I'm like bringing this to you, and I don't think that I can't actually remember what it was. Something like, you're not the person that I have been best friends with, and you're not following the morals that you value so highly, and I think that the people that you're hanging around have something to do with it. Sort it the fuck out, basically. And I can't remember exactly what prompted her to say it. I think that she was even going through a breakup, so it was one of those times where I really needed to be like on my ball a bit more, you know, like, you just are more attentive to your friends when they're going through something, and I don't think I was being, and just certain things that I was doing. She quoted one thing to me. She was like, you're the type of person who previously would drive through the night to get to me just because I said I was sad, and now you wouldn't. Now the way you're behaving tells me you wouldn't do that. Like, you don't care. And I was like, oh, because she's right about both things. She was at the time right about both things, and I was like, fuck. So I've never talked about that before, because obviously you don't just apologize for something and your behavior's fixed. Like, you need to sort yourself out. You need to consistently make a change, and I hope that I did. I hope that she feels that way. But I mean, this was like a year ago, but so I immediately, like, when that happened, I was like, I just love her so much, and I'm so grateful, because like, if someone doesn't care about you, they won't call you out, and I don't ever want a friendship that doesn't call me out. And we've spoke about this, me and her, before. We were like, that's what friends are for. Friends are there to keep you in line, among other things. But like, if they're not doing that, they're not a friend. Like, it's literally that simple. Like, you and them should both contribute to like becoming better people. And then, you know, there's that audio going around on TikTok right now, and it's like, everything I've ever learned about love, I've learned in my long-term friendships with women. That is so fucking true. That is literally so fucking true. Like, I date women, right? So typically I date women. I mean, I have 3 women exes. 3? Yeah. 3 women exes. And no male exes. So, you know, there you go. Like, I'm used to being around women so much that it feels weird to then be like, well, everything I know about love I learned in my long-term relationships with women. But it is so violently different. Like, dating a woman, especially when you're young or you're a teenager or whatever, can be actually just as treacherous as dating a man, you know, sometimes worse, because no one is equipped to deal with those big emotions at that age in any capacity. So dating anyone, I feel, is just terrible up until a certain age, and I don't think I've really surpassed that age. And I tend to date people a little bit older than me, because I can't hack myself, and I'm 22. I definitely can't hack a 21-year-old. Fuck off, 20-year-olds. Like, no. Like, you need to be a bit older than me, because I'm even driving myself insane. Do you know what I mean? Because I don't know anything. Like, you don't have any information in my brain, and my prefrontal cortex is so fucking small. So you have to be a little bit better than me for me to be able to not want to kill us both. So that's how I feel about that. But it's funny because, yeah, I would still say that everything I know about love does come from my female friendships and not my female relationships. In my experience, women don't treat you much better than men do. Like, I mean, they can both treat you well and they can both treat you horribly, but like, I wouldn't say that I learned anything new from love from women that I've dated versus men other than basic human respect. But I wouldn't say that that's love. I would say that's basic human respect. So, you know what I mean? But maybe when I get older and women have more space on their plate, because I don't think anyone right now has space on their plate, like we're either at uni or working jobs or are generally just having a panic attack, so I feel like no one has space on their plate. But I feel like when I get older and I date women who do, or men who do, then, or people who do, then maybe I will learn things about love from women that I cannot learn from men. I don't know, I'm excited to find out though. But yeah, I would agree that everything I know about love comes from my friendships with women. It's just irreplaceable. Like, they're just so fucking special to me. I love them so much. And I once upon a time would have been two things. One is too scared to call another girl out. And two is I would have been so hurt if someone called me out. Like, when I was like 17, if Millie had come to me, Millie was my best friend, the girl I've been talking about. If she'd have come to me and been like, hey, you're doing this, I'd have been like, whoa. Like, I would have taken it very personally and I would have acted like a dick. So that's why we grow. But I love her so much. And like, if I had been in a van with any other bitch for nearly 6 weeks, they wouldn't have left their van in one piece. It's literally that simple. And I just feel like it proved to me how much I love her, because I just didn't find her, I found her annoying. Like, I wanted to literally take her head and against the window. But she's, you know, I don't know. I just feel like there's such like a different level of love that I have for my friends that has yet to be matched by, ooh, this is going to upset some people, has yet to be matched by a romantic partner. Fuck it, I said it. Because how are you gonna, like, also, this confuses me. Monogamy. I was gonna say this anyway. Monogamy, right? If you're dating someone, you don't want them with other people. You don't want them to be like astronomically emotionally close to anyone else. You kind of want that for yourself. You definitely don't, well, I don't know, your prerogative, but I definitely don't want them sleeping with anyone else. Is prerogative the right word? I don't think it is. But you don't want them sleeping with someone else or being really emotionally in touch with someone else. So why are we not like that with our friends? Like, why does it not upset me when my best friend sits down and tells me that she had like a really, really deep conversation with her other best friend from uni or whatever? Do you know what I mean? Like, I hear that and I'm so happy for her and I want to know about what they said, and I'm like, oh, I love this guy, I love that your friends are there. Like, so why does that not transpire into my relationships? Because let me tell you, if someone I was dating sat down and said that they'd had a really deep conversation with a girl they met at a bar, I would literally have their face for dinner. Like, that is that simple. And I wouldn't even bother cook it. So, I don't know, like, it's weird. And so, I just feel like it's conditioning, because I've never once been told by anyone, no outside force, no parent, no friend, that friends shouldn't have other friends, or that you should be, and no one's ever, you know, encouraged me to be possessive over my friends, or to generally care what my friends do other than morally, you know? So, but obviously, everyone tells you that you're meant to care what your partner does and who your partner does and all that stuff. So what the fuck? Like, I feel like it's just conditioning, and then on that basis I've tried so many times to undo the conditioning, because I'm like, I genuinely think it's a more human experience to not be monogamous. And I think that if I was born and taught non-monogamy, then I wouldn't question it, and I would be happy, and it would make more sense. Like, I feel like it makes more sense, and I feel like every monogamy thing, and then, I don't know, maybe I should just Google it, but I don't know if humans are like naturally monogamous, like penguins. Or did we do something else? I don't know. But I feel like it's not the way it should be. And even if it is in our nature, I feel like we might have just moved past the need for nature. Anyway, we're not out there fucking hunting. So why are we still in monogamous relationships? You know what I mean? Like, I disagree with almost every other aspect of, like, marriage, kids, etc., shared bedrooms. But I can't get myself away from monogamy. Like, I tried, and then I literally was in a fit of rage for 6 months. So, you tell me. Hold on. I wrote so many things down in my notes. I got a new phone last night. Heh, it's purple. I've never had an exciting coloured phone before. The last one I had was space grey. Oh no, it wasn't space grey. Also, the fuck? So, I have a I don't know if it's my laptop or my phone, but one of them is in space grey. And obviously a laptop, like, you don't buy a new laptop very often. I mean, personally, I don't. I bought my current laptop, it's a MacBook Pro, and I got it at the start of university, so that was like 4.5 years ago I got that, and I'm not planning to get a new one anytime soon. Like, it's still brand new in the world of Apple, right? The laptop I had before that was a MacBook from 2000, I want to say 7 or 8, and I used it for my A-levels, and it was fine. I mean, it wasn't great. You'd have to stop every 20 minutes because it overheated, but literally other than that, it was completely fine. So I feel like if there's a new way that I am buying a new MacBook anytime in the near future, like I'm talking like 10 years, I'll get a new one. But my issue with that is, why don't they make the same greys? Like, every iPhone generation, they make a grey, and it's a slightly different grey than the one before. Why? And why won't you just make all the laptops and all the phones match? Because I am trying to buy the Apple ecosystem, but not all in slightly different shades of grey. I don't actually know if the grey shades are any different because I've never put them next to each other to look at it. But I think, well, they're called different things, and that just, stresses me out. So my old iPhone was the 12, and it was grey, and I loved the grey, but this one's purple. So, ooh! This bullet point just says why you don't need friends. I don't think I meant to say why. Anyway, I didn't have friends for ages, and I didn't mind it. I mean, I did mind it. I wasn't very happy. But I think it's better to be alone than with the wrong friends, because the wrong friends can make you feel like the smallest person on earth. And when I had the wrong friends, if I was still friends with them today, like, I wouldn't be sat here doing this at all, because I felt like the smallest, weirdest person. Like, they went to know, like, they never stopped to think about how what they said would make me feel. And I grew up with these people, and they made me feel weird. Like, when I knew them, the first word that would spring to my mind when I would try and describe myself would be weird, or lame, or boring, or shy. And actually, I'm none of those things. I mean, I'm shy, very shy. But other than that, and sometimes on a blue moon, I come out my shell, right? I just have to be in the right environment and in the mood, and which I rarely am. But I'm not weird. I mean, not in the way they made me feel. Anyway, they made me feel like a bad weird. Like, I would never understand, like, what they were. Like, it was the kind of thing where they, like, if there was a boy that would be talking about him, and I'd be like, who are we talking about? They'd be like, oh, don't worry. Do you know what I mean? Like, that kind of shit. Like, I hated them. I never liked them. I really never did. I always had a bad feeling about all of them, but I was too young. I didn't know what that meant. And it's funny because I was thinking about how I always ignore my gut instincts. I never listen to them, and it's hilarious because I have some of the most in tune gut instincts probably ever. Like, I mean, I think most people do, but, and not to get all astrology on you because I don't know anything about it, but my chart tells me I have good gut instincts. It tells me they're correct, right? I have like 4 Cancer placements, and they're all in like my 8th house, and one of them is my Sun, and one is my Venus, and I think one is my Mars as well. I don't know. Oh, speaking of, I want to go to an astrologerist, not sure, and then you can go to, like, there's I was talking to my friend's mum about it, and she was like, oh, I know this man. He only works from India, so you'd have to go. But he's basically like a really popular past life regressionist. And I'm very interested to go because I've said this before. But my mum went to a past life past life regressionist / witch, who basically told her that so me and my family, you guys should find this out about your own families. I highly urge you to go to a witch or a regressionist or someone that contacts the dead or something, because it's so interesting. But go to a good one. Don't go to a shit one. Because they could say something to you that's just going to fuck you up. And then if you come to, like, really believe in this stuff later in life, you might think, oh my god, well, what did that have to do with everything? And it could have had nothing to do with it because the person isn't qualified. Go to someone that's good. Anyway, my mum went, and she went when I was young because she was like, my daughter hates me and my young daughter doesn't trust me. It's weird. Like, I've never done anything to her. I don't know what the fuck her problem is. Basically, when I was like a kid, if my mum would like run into the shop and leave me in the car, for example, I would make her leave her wallet with me because I'd be like, you won't come back otherwise. She's never abandoned. I don't have abandonment. No one's ever abandoned me. So what the fuck is that about? Pray tell. Anyway, that was a thing for years. And when I would be in the house as well, like if I was in the kitchen, like this is like when I'm like 2 years old, I'd be in the kitchen and she'd be like, right, Madeline, I'm going to the other room now. And I'd just sob. And then she'd be like, what I'm going to do is I'm going to sing so that you can hear that I'm still in the house and you can hear how far away I am from you. And that would like soothe me a bit. So my mum would just have to walk around the house singing like the ABCs or just singing something so that I knew she hadn't abandoned me. I've never been abandoned. So my mum went to this past life regressionist and was like, what the fuck is wrong with this little thing? Like, little crotch goblin doesn't trust me. And the woman was like, ah, yes, you two have lived together. Actually, no, I don't think my mum said that to her. I'm pretty sure the story goes my mum never told her anything, because you're not meant to. But then when she retold the story to me, she was like, it makes sense because of X, Y, and Z. And I was like, okay. Or she told the lady after the lady told her. Do you know what I mean? Anyway. Basically, the woman was like, so, okay, the woman knows nothing about us, and she sits down and she's like, you and your daughter have been together for so many lifetimes, but your last lifetime was a bit rough, and basically what happened was it was the Dark Ages, and for some reason, my mum gave birth to me, and in that lifetime, her soul was still my mum, and my soul was still her daughter. So she gives birth to me, but she's for some reason not meant to, or there's something wrong with me, something goes wrong. So she puts me in a towel and she wraps me up and she goes into the woods and she leaves me under a tree. And she returns like every day, a couple times a day, to breastfeed me so I don't die, and then leaves me there again. And no one ever got to the end of the story, but essentially I disappeared. A fox got me or a human got me, no one knows, because she was like doing my mum's reading, not mine. But she was like, yeah, like that was a really traumatic lifetime for you. You guys have to heal from that. And because it was so bad for me, I guess I died or something. Because it was so bad for me, apparently it took me a very long time to come back, and I think this is maybe my first or second lifetime since the Dark Ages. And I believe, I'm led to believe, it's my mum and I's first time back together, especially in this mum-daughter relationship. I really believe in all this stuff, and I think that you should too. Not to tell you what to think, but I think that you should think what I think. So, yeah, so what the fuck was my point? There's mold, you know, growing all over my car. Do you remember how I used to gloat that, like, this car doesn't get wet or anything? It does now. Maybe that's guacamole, actually. No, yeah, it's mold. Maybe moldy guac, though. Guac. Gave me the ick. So, what the fuck was my point? Past life regressionist? No idea. Oh, the reason that it had so much bearing, other than the fact that I had massive abandonment issues with no apparent reason for them, is that when I was young, get this, my mum used to wrap me up in this lifetime in a blanket and put me out under a tree in the garden because it is the only way I would fall asleep. And before all the Americans start with me on that, it's common in Europe to just leave your baby sleeping alone outside. It's really common. You see it in the street. Like, people just do it, because not that many people are insane here. Anyway, my mum used to wrap me up, and she would leave me under this one tree in my garden, and there's a video of me, and I'm like 2 years old, and the tree's fallen down. I think it fell on me while I was sleeping. It wasn't a big tree, thank God. It was like a medium-sized tree. And yeah, that's the only way I would sleep. And the way my mum figured it out was I was just refusing to nap. I was a really young baby, like only a few months old or something. I was refusing to nap, but I was clearly tired, and so she was like, fuck this. And she just chucked me out in the garden. No, I'm just kidding. I think she just put me out to get some fresh air. All swaddled up in like 3 layers of, you know, puffy baby shit. And she put me out in my pram, obviously, in the back garden. We live in a very safe place. Okay. And then I just went straight to sleep. So then it became our little routine. Every nap time I'd go out in the garden. And now, to this day, I sleep under all my blankets with my doors open, like my big window doors, even in the winter. I love being cold. I love cold face, warm body. It literally makes me horny. Love it. So apparently that's because I died. That's how I died in a past life. I was wrapped up in blankets in the woods alone. So now in this life I have abandonment issues, and I love sleeping when I'm freezing cold. So yeah, I don't know what me and my mum have to do to heal that trauma, and to be quite frank, I don't care, because we have enough in this lifetime as well. And it's interesting, yeah, because my therapist is a psychodynamic therapist, which means he basically, they're just like, let's focus on this lifetime, yeah? Like, let's maybe just look at this one, because I reckon there's like enough going on that we could definitely get some good content out of it, rather than having to go back like thousands and thousands of years to like when witches were still being burnt. which I appreciate viciously because he's not wrong. Like, there is a lot of content for this life as well. But I do think it's interesting to look into past life trauma. What the fuck was my point? What the fuck was my point? I was talking about being alone or being with friends. My point is, I fucking hated my friends for like the first 15 years of my life. It's Christmas, and I don't understand people. So, actually, my family's gonna be here in like 20 minutes. And I've got a back spasm. So my point was, it's better to be alone than to be with shitty friends. And the last time that I said anything like that on a podcast, I got a bunch of messages from like younger people, and they were like, I'm at school and like I don't have the opportunity to like get rid of my friends. Like, there's not enough people here, blah, 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 blah. And I was like, no, that's terrible. Like, I genuinely feel so bad for you. I was in the same predicament. I think the most important thing to realize, not that I'm in any place to give advice, I just chat shit. Let's make that clear. I'm not here for advice. But what I will say is, so I will give advice. What I will say is, like, I was in the same predicament too, and now I barely even remember it, and I'm happier than ever. But what got me through those years of like being forced to be around some of the worst people ever was just empathy, because they're also teenagers, they don't know what the fuck they're doing, and B, loving my own company so much. Like, being alone is one of the best things you can be, and learning to be alone in your youth is crucial to not ending up in shit relationships, shit friendships in your adulthood. There's no excuse for them, right? I mean, everyone's gonna have them at some point, but you need to learn and you need to remove yourself from those people. You can't be a victim to yourself forever. Do you know what I mean? And that's not possible when you're a teenager, because you're actually a victim to like multiple institutions. But when you're an adult, it's kind of your own fault. If you're like surrounded by shit people, like, leave. I'm so excited to give my mum her birthday presents. Okay, I mean Christmas presents. This is what I got her, yeah? So this is the first year I've had any money. And I by no means have a lot of it, but I have enough that I can spoil my mum with a spending history that I do not usually have. The month of December has changed the way that I spend my money. But she deserves it because she's my mum. And like last year, I don't actually think I got her anything. Like, I was that broke. I couldn't physically buy her anything. I would just get her stuff from like the knick-knack section of the charity shop. So this year I was like, okay, let's get her some cool stuff. And I'm so excited for her to open them. We're doing presents at like 3 p.m. today, and it's like 10 a.m. right now. And I'm like, hurry up. But so I got the most exciting thing I'm excited about. Is Apple headphones. I have a pair, and she always steals them, and she wants them, and she basically, my mum has a disability, so she needs, like, some headphones aren't going to work for her because she can't get them on her head, or they won't stay on her head, and blah, 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 blah. There's a bunch of things to consider, and she tried on my headphones. Like, it's so hard to find anything that works for my mum. She tried on my headphones, and the first thing she said was like, these are perfect. They fit on my head, they don't hurt my ears, I can get them on and off, blah, 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 and I was like, ugh. Do you know this? £600, but fine. So I bought her the headphones. I bought her the fucking headphones. And then the other thing is she needed slippers, but she needed slippers with a back because otherwise she can't get them on. Kendall fucking Jenner, right, went to the gym in the slippers I was going to buy my mum, because they're little Uggs with a little back and that little like almost Aztec-y vibes print on their rim. No one's bought those. No one's bought those slippers in like 4 years because they're objectively ugly, but they're perfect for my mum, and she requested wool. Kendall Jenner wore them to the gym, literally looking like shit. I love her, but come on, like, she didn't look good. I mean, she looked good, but like, not to the point where you're gonna then go and spend £80 on that outfit because she looked so good. Do you know what I mean? Like, she looked fine, but not £80 of my own money fine. Like, you look great, I'm happy for you. That's it. But then they sold out nationwide. These slippers sold out everywhere. They're gone everywhere. Why did I just like gag? We're not one of those families that has the present under the tree like prior to Christmas. That's not how Santa works, you idiots. Anyway, but last night we were both so pissed. We stumbled in at like 1 a.m. and just went to bed. So I have to go do Santa duties now, and then I'm going to help her peel some potatoes, etc. And then my dad's going to come over, and it's going to be wonderful. And then he's going to leave, which will also be wonderful. And then my friend's going to come over, and then we're going to open presents together. And I'm actually really excited. There's one present under the tree that I am so deeply intrigued by because it's from a person that I care about very deeply, and those are always the best presents. So I'm like, what did you think to get me? Like, what in your mind, what do I like? And that's my favourite part of Christmas because it's a little insight. And if I could read their diary, I would read their diary, but they don't keep a diary.